The father of one of the victims of the 1988 Lockerbie aircraft bombing has told Euronews that he hopes the man convicted of the attack is cleared in an appeal at Scotland's High Court. In 2001, Libyan intelligence officer Abdel Basset al-Megrahi was jailed for life for the murder of 270 people when the Pan Am Flight 103 was blown up over the Scottish town. Megrahi, who died in 2012, denied all involvement. An independent Scottish review body ruled in March that his family could launch an appeal after concluding there might have been a miscarriage of justice. Campaigner Jim Swire believes he says Megrahi was innocent.
I think it has long passed the point now where, if objectively looked at, the sum or total of the evidence would be incompatible with the story that came out of that court, that would lead to a necessity of overturning or setting aside the verdict against that man. He is, of course, he died in 2012, and he'd become a friend of mine over the years. I'd met him on a number of occasions. And one of the reasons I would like to see his verdict overturned is simply because I think I'm satisfied that he was an innocent man, and I don't think it would have been right to keep him in prison in Scotland for one day longer than was already done. And also the existence of the conviction of this man allows the authorities in Britain and America to deny us our attempts to get to the real truth, because they always just have to say, oh, well, we've had a trial and we found one man guilty, that's the best we can do, goodbye. So if that conviction's overturned, it would leave the field open to that question. If he didn't do it, who did?
The lawyer representing al-Megrahi's family, Amma Anwar, says the family are mounting the appeal to clear his name because there should never be a time limit on justice.
As Dr. Jim Swire, one of the individuals who supported the appeal way back in 2014, said, the overturning of the verdict would mean for both the Megrahi family as well as many of the British victims' families who are supporting the appeal, that it would vindicate their belief that the governments of the United States and the United Kingdom had lived a monumental lie for 31 years, imprisoning a man that they knew to be innocent and punishing the Libyan people for a crime they did not commit. It has long been claimed that the Lockerbie bombing was carried out as a direct result of Iran ordering a revenge attack and instructing a Syrian-based Palestinian group in retaliation for the US Navy blowing up an Iranian airline out of the sky some 6 months earlier, killing 290 people. People have asked the question, why 31 years later? What is the point? Well, there should never be a time limit on justice. And Dr. Jim Swire is quite right. If the conviction is overturned, then there are real questions to be asked. But this has been a long journey, not just for the Megrahi family, but for many of the victims' families. And I hope that the truth will start to emerge.
Of course, the UK government will be putting across their side of the case as well. Just tell us, for the family that you represent, what would overturning this mean for them?
Well, their father, Abdel Basset al-Megrahi, went to his grave branded a mass murderer, responsible for the worst terrorist atrocity on UK soil. 270 people from 21 different countries died in that attack, and they still live with the consequences of that. But also the family themselves, Megrahi's family, say that the 271st victim was Abdel Basset Megrahi. He was sentenced to 27 years imprisonment. He was then pressurized to drop his appeal because he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he died, a few years later after having served multiple years in prison in Scotland, was returned back to Libya. But in his dying breath, he said he wanted justice. He wanted his name to be cleared. He wanted the name of his family to be cleared, but he also wanted the name of the Libyan people to be cleared. And I think that's an important issue when we say as lawyers that there should never be a time limit on justice.